On arrival at the Nelson Mandela capture site in Howick, just 5 kilometers from the N3 route to Durban, it's hard to believe that this is where the fate of Nelson Mandela was decided by the apartheid government.
This area before it was the farm. A white farmer was farming here. Mandela was coming from Johannesburg to Stenga to meet Albert Sisulu, relate political issues. They had a meeting one day there. On his way back, seems like he made a mistake to stop at Lions River. Maybe someone saw him there because on his way from Stenga, there were no cars following them. But if it comes after Lions River, they saw a Ford V8. Were driving with a white guy, a tall guy, signing, overtaking them, then signing to stop them right down on the bottom of the road on August 1962. He stopped them. He asked them who they are. Cecil Williams said, "I'm taking my boy to Johannesburg." He said, "Who are you?" Mandela gave him a fake name. He said, "No, you're lying." "Ah, you're lying. You are Mandela, you are Cecil Williams." They took them to Pietermaritzburg. That's where the political movement started. He was captured like that.
The spot where this occurred is on the R103, the old main road. The area's significance in South African history is marked by the breathtaking Nelson Mandela Monument and the Life of Nelson Mandela exhibition at the museum.
You go in the museum, there's an exhibition there, find the whole information related to Mandela since he was born, and there is a physical sculpture there where you get the whole background of the sculpture that is being made right down on the bottom of the road. If you go down on the bottom of the road there, that's where the whole capture pillars is. When you go right down in the hill, when you put your head up, you see his picture there. Behind there, there is a actual one across the road. It's made up with the bricks, was donated by the Howick farmers and communities in the apartheid days.
This monument, built by artist Marco Kenfanelli, consists of 50 steel poles between 8 and 10 meters tall. They are arranged in a pattern that gives the viewer a flat image of Nelson Mandela. You need to approach from the west to get the best view of the illusion of a perfectly flat image. The 50 steel columns represent the 50 years since Mandela's capture. Babala, who was visiting the site for the first time, is one of the tourists who was blown away by the capture site and the history symbolized here.
Such a serene surrounding, and it's such a calming space. Yet when you understand what happened here, the turmoil that he must have gone through and other people who were involved, it's a weird space to be in. The sculpture is also absolutely amazing. I think that to have there are so many sculptures of Nelson Mandela, but to actually have something like this that is so beautifully crafted and that actually just captures the man and his essence and everything about him. The story of Nelson Mandela, no matter how many times you watch it on TV or you read about it in the news or in books or you see it for yourself, it never gets tiring, it never gets old. And such an exhibition like inside here is so important for the future generation to actually understand and know the man behind the myth, and also to have bite-sized chunks of the history, because it is such a big story that a place like this allows you to be able to digest it in small pieces that you understand and you can feel.
The capture site is open to the public to come and learn about the history of the late Nelson Mandela, from the time he was born to the time he spent 20 years in prison.
I would actually advise people to come and bring their kids, especially because you don't want to lose the essence of Mandela. You want them to, this is the best way to understand him, because like I said, it's bite-sized chunks. Even a little kid will understand it. So I would definitely recommend it. I would bring my family, I would bring busloads of kids here to actually get to see and understand and hear the history of the man.
The 26th edition of Indaba, Africa's top travel show, set a new standard for growing tourism on the continent, offering a brand new platform for Pan-Africa tourism promotion. It was a space for exhibitors, buyers and delegates to interact.
Indaba's exhibitors' categories include accommodation, transport and tour guides, amongst many others. Let's speak to some of these exhibitors and find out more about their products.
We started with 3 cars in Bloemfontein, and this last year we peaked at over 27,000 cars. We started with 3 people. Today we have over 2,500 people working for Avis. We now are represented in almost every single country in Africa. In some African countries you don't just rent a car, we've got chauffeur drive. The main markets we're responsible for is right up to Sub-Sahara. And we've got operations in every single one of those countries. Car rental in the last 2 years, it's been double-digit growth. And I was just sharing with our minister a little bit earlier that car rental this year is up 15%. The most encouraging thing is it's not just in the Western Cape or at Kruger, it's across the whole country. In fact, places like the Northern Cape are 58% up year on year. Just to give people an idea, Indaba, or the international market's worth 1 billion rand to the car rental industry. These customers here are critical to us because they bring those foreign tourists who want to rent vehicles. So a really important show for Avis.
I'm here representing my land tours as it is. I come from Zimbabwe, based in Victoria Falls. My company specializes in transfers. We can transfer you all over Zimbabwe where you want to do all your activities. And we can do bookings on whatever you request, on request. You can take you wherever you need. We've got some activities like elephant ride, walk with the lion, can take you to the cruise along the Zambezi River. This is my 3rd time coming into Indaba, and this time it is really amazing because I've seen a lot of agents, I've met a lot of agents whom I've made some contact with. I hope when I go back to Victoria Falls, I will make some big business with those agencies.
We have been doing what we do exceptionally well for the past 50 years.
The knowledge out there is very limited, and I'll admit that before 2010 I knew very little about the shark sport, but having come on board this year as ambassador, I've learned even more about the work that they do. We take it so for granted. You're going to go to the beach, you're going to swim. You don't understand that there's actually somebody, some people, an organization that's making sure that your experience there, all the way from the north coast down to the south coast, is a pleasant experience. The main thing at the moment, the main 2 things, are the Maritime Centre of Excellence, because there's a centre that's been developed for careers and career opportunities, as well as education opportunities, proper qualifications for people to move into the maritime sector, which is very exciting for our youth, targeting predominantly previously disadvantaged youth who haven't been exposed to the sector. So that's quite interesting. But also the shark repellent technology, which is the first of its kind, and Shark Sport is working on that. Extensive research throughout the world has been done, and we are just on the edge of giving it or handing it out, or rolling it out rather. And that's going to be also quite exciting because, again, it's going to make it that much easier and that much safer for both humans and the sharks.
Our theme for Indaba 2014 is Go Northern Cape and I Love Northern Cape. So we have this tree out here where we're asking people that come to the Northern Cape stand, please indicate to us why you love Northern Cape. And also you'll see today on display we're wearing all our Love Northern Cape brands with the different icons, displaying the different icons. Again, this is very important. It also enhances brand positioning, building, pride as a destination.
Serena Hotels is one of the premier hotel groups in East Africa. We have 24 properties in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda and Mozambique. In Mozambique, actually, we have the Polana Strena Hotel, which is one of the iconic hotels built back in 1920. And we are here at Indaba yet again. We actually exhibit at Indaba every year for the last, probably say about 15 years or so. And our purpose actually is to meet the business suppliers from different parts of the world who are our business partners as we seek to sell our product to them. And this year's Indaba, well, I would say yes, has been pretty good. We have accomplished our purpose, which was to meet our regular business suppliers, especially from Europe, Africa, the US, South America, and also to meet new ones, you know, as we continue trying to ensure that we create more awareness of the Strena brand. We've had a good show.
We are here exhibiting at the Indaba exhibition in Durban, which we do every year. It is a very appropriate platform for the Seychelles tourism to showcase all our products here in Africa. And we come here every year with all our partners from Seychelles, which consists of hotels, airlines, ourselves as a tourism board, and the service providers in Seychelles as well, to meet our other industry partners from Africa, as well as from Europe and from the Americas as well.
We are exhibiting under the company called AfriPortico. AfriPortico has given us a platform to be able to launch ourselves and market ourselves with international companies at the Indaba 2014. AfriPortico is a great company and has provided a great establishment for other companies, B&Bs and other small institutions to grow up and be able to be leveled with companies from African Pride Hotels, Red Carnation group of companies, as well as 3 cities.
I run an events management company. We are called Ginger Red Events Management. We design events and manage them on behalf of our clients, aiming at the event visitor. We hire and distribute event accessories, again, to the event planner, as well as coordinate pre, on-site and post-event experiences for the event visitor and tourist, including other travel solutions for them. Hence, we align ourselves with destination conveniences. We are based here in Durban at the Smart Exchange building. We're part of Shanduga Black Umbrellas, which is a company that helps, it's a business incubation that assists businesses like mine to get to a level of professionalism that is acceptable to business in general. It's the 3rd biggest tourism trade show in the world. It has all the information that I need with regards to the services that I offer, from accommodation to tourist attractions, be it within KZN, the province, nationally in South Africa or outside. So the reason why I keep on coming is because I need to not only update my information, I need to network further and ensure that I'm always relevant, and you remain relevant when you are informed.
The country is benefiting a lot because when we are here, we then talk to different people. We sell Swaziland. We talk about what is good in Swaziland, and we ask from even these tour operators that maybe even if they are bringing people to KZN or to South Africa as our neighbor, and then they must then tell them about Swaziland. If maybe they can just go there 1 or 2 days, then Swaziland will be happy. And in Swaziland, we pride ourselves about the cultures that we have there.
I personally would say I enjoy being in Swaziland for the Bushfire Festival that takes place, and we'll be joining you guys in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, the bushfire is taking, it will be within 2 weeks' time, because I don't remember very well whether it's the 31st of, the 30th of May. We'll be having that, whereby many people all over the world, they come there. We normally have plus minus, actually plus 20,000 people, tourists that come from different countries to Swaziland. It's enjoyable. I hope you will be there.
I will be. With that, let's take a short break. We'll see you right after this. Welcome back. We're still here at Indaba, one of the largest tourism marketing events on the African continent and one of the top 3 most visited events globally.
It showcased the widest variety of Southern Africa's best tourism products and attracts international visitors and media from across the world.
The journey has been a fabulous one. It's a fantastic journey. It's a journey where in 25 years, out of the 35 years of Indaba's existence, we have hosted Indaba here in Durban in KwaZulu-Natal. And it has grown in leaps and bounds. The evidence is there. This year is the first time that Indaba has been truly made to be an African, the true premier African trade show. It is because of KwaZulu-Natal participating, of course, together with the South African Tourism and the National Minister of Tourism in the Republic of South Africa, that all of us have been part in growing Indaba to be what it is now. And we are ready to conquer.
The Indaba brand is so strong. It's already one of the biggest travel shows internationally. And this year we've opened it up to the rest of Africa. So Indaba will continue to grow from strength to strength.
Representatives from more than 23 destinations on the African continent came to Indaba this year.
When I first proposed that we open up Indaba for all African countries, locally the industry was not convinced because they thought, oh, it will be more competition, it will take business away. But my argument was twofold. Firstly, that if we bring in our fellow African countries, it will force all of us to improve on our standards. Competition will be more, that's always a good thing. But secondly, if there are more products here from all over the continent, we will get more buyers from all over the world, from the United States, from Europe, from Asia, and that is exactly the case. There are 2,400 buyers here, and they are high-powered, high-profile buyers.
Indaba 2014 offered a highly efficient trading environment that ensured value around quality of engagement and quality of buyers.
If you look at the numbers in terms of our source markets, one of the biggest source markets that we have as KwaZulu-Natal is from the African continent. It is therefore clear to us that Indaba has become the modern gold industry that we can use to tap into it, particularly in our African continent. Because when we talk about tourism holistically, we talk both about commercial tourism as well as leisure tourism. We talk about conferencing and the MICE business. And we have seen all of those elements emerging in a very strong way within the continent. And it tells us that we are therefore not wrong to also invest in the continent, to grow that market share out of the continent, whilst at the same time, we are also diversifying across the globe.
Indaba also focuses on facilitating business-to-business connections. The airports company South Africa is one of the Indaba partners.
If you look at, there's a couple of things that underpin our whole economic model as an airport, and that is air traffic movement. So the more air traffic movement we have, the better we do. But in terms of what underpins the air traffic movement, there's 2 aspects. There's really trade. If we've got good trade, you're going to get a lot of traffic because the people that are doing the business need to make the connections, and the goods and offerings that we have to move through our airports. The other part of it that underpins our air traffic movement story is tourism. So people that, if we increase tourism, what you're going to have is you're going to have more air traffic movement through our airports. And so it's recognizing that you've got this tourism value chain and you've got this trade value chain on the one side. So every player in that tourism value chain has to understand what their particular role is. And I think for us, we need to understand it because we don't want to be, if there's great demand, we don't want to be the people that are known for limiting the potential of that demand. So if we stay close to SA tourism in terms of what's happening, what the forecasts are from a tourism point of view, we're able to make sure that the capacity that we have does not restrict the demand that they're trying to drive in terms of an attraction point of view from a South African point of view, similarly on the trade side. So our role is to make sure that we keep up with whatever demand that they're marketing and they're pushing for, and that our long-term planning also takes that into account so that we do not limit ourselves in any way.
As the country celebrates 20 years of democracy, Indaba was also celebrating 20 years of successful tourism.
First 20 years of our freedom and democracy for tourism, a wonderful success story. In 1994, just over 3 million international arrivals. Last year, 19 million. But it's not only the number of arrivals that has increased, the spend per tourist has also increased tremendously. So it brings tens of billions of rand into the economy and it creates a lot of jobs. Recently, the official statistics has shown that tourism are now providing more jobs than mining. And in our country, that is quite an achievement.
We can talk about visible things that have been achieved in the last 20 years. One of those was a huge investment in building a new international airport in King Shaka in the Durban Trade Port, a more than 7.8 billion rand worth of investment. We can talk about the fact that we have now become a home of mega events in the country. In fact, we are the darling of mega events and inventing in this. We have seen the hosting of major international conferences from the non-aligned movement. The first AU meeting that took place in the year 2000, it was in Durban, and many, many more. We have seen festival, we have seen your Top Gear. We now are going to be seeing your MTV Awards, and many of those. We have catapulted ourselves beyond the expectations of people 20 years ago. And I think we can say our story speaks for itself. But on the other side, in terms of the policy clarity, we have provided a better policy clarity framework insofar as having the master plan, which is now linked to the NTSS, which is the National Tourism Strategy of the country. What does this say? It says for the next 20 years, we have a coherent plan, what we need to do to grow the tourism numbers, to ensure that out of the 2.1 million jobs that need to be created nationally, we actually create more than 183,000 jobs in this province in the next 20 years. Therefore, our case is solid. We know we've got the clarity of thought. We know where we are going. What does that say? It speaks of a good partnership between the public sector and the private sector. And we are where we are because we work in sync between the various role players in the tourism industry.
However, tourism does face some challenges.
On the African continent, there are two challenges. The first one is visas. It's important that we start to phase out all the old paper visa systems where people have to stand in queues, go to an embassy in a capital, fill out long forms, and we must use technology to start with a system of e-visas. And secondly, it is air access, connectivity on the continent. In many instances, people have to fly to Europe to get a connection back to another African country. And we know it's complicated, but with the required political will, we will be able to do that.
As South African tourism continues its commitment to creating enabling business and tourism platforms for the growth of the economy, their objective is to improve on the products to sell to the rest of the world.
I believe where we can still improve is on the geographical spread of tourism. When people come here, they obviously want to go to Cape Town, they want to see Table Mountain, they want to go to Kruger National Park in Mpumalanga, they maybe want to come down to KZN, but there's so much more in all our provinces. And it's interesting if we look at the geographical spread of tourists, that is improving. And that is what we want, because we want people all over the country to benefit.
With exhibitors showcasing the best in accommodation, tour operators, transport, Indaba 2014 was fruitful for many who were in attendance.
We've actually been very busy. I don't think we've seen huge numbers of delegations, but I think the quality was obviously quite good. This being a trade show, I think the success of the show is not necessarily about how many people came, but it's about the quality. As you saw, there's quite a lot of other countries from within the continent, and for the first time, which is actually good, and it's changed the profile of what the event is about. And I think we're actually on track to building Africa's largest tourism exhibition.
Well, there you have it on this edition of Eye on KZN. Next time, catch us right here on CNBC Africa. From me and the team, Salani Gash.